Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Unity Hour. It's Friday, it's a new month, we made it, and we're so excited to have you all here today. In case you haven't been tuning in for the past 5-6 weeks, I'm Katie Mack. I am on the community team here at the Mom Project, and just working week after week to bring different editions of Unity Hour to you all. Today's session is about cultivating confidence. And this is something, we heard from all of you that is a topic that you guys really would like to hear a lot of insight on. It turns out that regardless of where you are in your career journey, whether you're looking to return to work, make a career pivot, are just trying to level up in your current role, there's always room to kind of level up your confidence a bit and figure out how to own it and own the skills you have to kind of keep pushing yourself forward. So, that came out of feedback that we received from you all. So please keep it coming. We want to tailor these Unity Hours to topics that matter most to everybody that is tuning in. So feel free to email us with your dream topic or anything else at community@themomproject.com. You guys sent in some incredible questions related to confidence, and we could not be more excited to have Laura Honeycutt join us for today's session. She is a success and leadership coach with some really awesome insights on how to kind of own and build your confidence. And we made sure that we have really woven in a lot of your questions into the content today. So I think everybody will really leave inspired and informed and motivated to kind of keep pushing forward. And as always, we have our live chat going in the YouTube stream. I will be monitoring that today. So if any questions come up in real time, drop them in there. I will bubble them up and we can try to answer them towards the end of today's session. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Laura.
Thank you so much, Katie, for the introduction. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be with you today, talking about one of my favorite topics, which is how to unleash your inner badass or cultivate confidence. But I like the badass part a little bit better. So I just want to make a couple of comments. I've got on every slide a couple of hashtags. If you feel like live tweeting today, this is how you can follow me and the Mom Project and tweet with the hashtags the Mom Project and Unity Hour. If you see something that's insightful, if you have an aha or a revelation, I would love to see you tweet that out while we're in the midst of this. And this is your time. This is time for you to grow and develop yourself. So do everything you can, if you can, to silence your phone, turn off your notifications, put your laptop on do not disturb, close your door if you can, whatever you can do to really focus and concentrate. I'm going to ask for a ton of engagement, and I want you to blow up the chat today. And you can only really do that and learn and grow if you're entirely present for just this hour. Okay, so I'm going to get right into it. First, introduce myself. My name is Laura, and I am a recovering imposter. I had a 25-year career in advertising where I was incredibly successful and achieved a pretty high level of success. But the whole time in that career, I felt like I didn't belong there. I felt like it was just a matter of time before someone figured out that I wasn't good enough to be where I was. I worked myself to death. I worked incredibly long hours just trying to stay one step ahead. I beat myself up, telling myself that if I beat myself up, nobody else can beat me up. So I was just kind of that person always trying to stay just one step ahead of everyone else, because if I let my guard down, I was going to be found out. I'd love to see in the chat if that's resonating with any of you and your experience right now at work. What I'm going to tell you about that is like I said, I'm recovering. I don't know if it's something that ever really goes away, but you can learn how to manage it. So that's some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. And you may say, you know what, imposter syndrome, that's not really me. I'm totally confident. And I felt that way too. But then some of the things that are going to be coming up today, I have a feeling are going to resonate with you if you're here today. And you might find out that maybe you've got some degree of imposter syndrome fever. And we'll give you some tips and hacks to walk away. There are going to be some really actionable, easily implementable tactics that I'm going to share with you today. And here's the trick. You got to do them. So you can like walk away and say, oh, that was really awesome. That's a great idea. I'm totally going to do it. And then work gets in the way or whatever. And you don't do it. And then you go, well, you know, that stuff doesn't work. I am here to tell you that this stuff works, but you have to do it. You've got to practice it every day. So I would love to know in the chat, as I bring up some of the things that I saw from you, what has brought you here today? What'd you come here for? What are some of the big burning questions that are on your mind? Here are some of the things that you said in your questionnaire and your registration RSVP. I love this one. How do I dim the negative subplot in my mind? Yeah, I mean, it's like a soundtrack that loops over and over and over and over again. I get you. You know, there were a lot of questions around how do you recover from disappointment of not being offered a job, or maybe you were recently let go from a job and that's tanked your confidence because you thought we were rolling along great. Or how many of you relate to, there's like this rule book out there that I feel like I didn't get. And I thought that the world worked this way. And then I got a hard lesson in how the world works in a totally different way. I'd just love to see some of that chatter in the chat. If any of these are resonating with you, or if you've got others, very low confidence and fear. I feel like I'm not hireable. Someone says they want to reduce anxiety. I'd love to know where the anxiety is coming from. These are all the kinds of things that we keep swirling in our heads over and over and over again that are draining our energy and getting in our way. Yeah, confidence when starting a new career, that's a big one. You kind of look around you and you go, oh, everyone else seems to be killing it, but I don't know anything. How do I get to that next level? All of these are pressure and anxiety that we put on ourselves. No one else is doing this. These are your thoughts. These are the things that you're experiencing that are causing you to sit in a place of unconfidence. And what they really all kind of ladder up to is what I love to call faux pas, which is fear of other people's opinions. So tell me if this word faux pas resonates with you at all. I would love to see in the chat if there's if you have ever felt yourself feeling like, these are some of the things that you'll say. I don't want them to think I'm too arrogant. I don't want someone to think I'm not a hard worker. I don't want to hurt that person's feelings. I don't want to look like a know-it-all. All of these, I would love to see any of these faux pas feelings in the chat that you are experiencing now, or may be experiencing, or have experienced in your career. Anytime you are thinking, I don't want someone to think fill in the blank, that's faux pas. So I'm just going to give it a couple seconds. If we have any chatter here, anything coming through, anything coming up for you guys around the notion of faux pas. I read this in a Harvard Business Review article a few months ago, and I snagged it and I've started using it ever since, because I just think it's just such a powerful way of summing up how we get in our own way with the thoughts in our head as it relates to other people's opinions of us. Yeah, so we're getting lots of yeses here. I feel this way in my everyday life, not just work, 100%. It doesn't usually compartmentalize itself. So yeah, and this is the thing, when you give so much power to someone else's opinion of you, and you let that tell you who you are giving up your power. And what's worse is you are rolling down this path of trying to be what you think everyone else wants you to be. And every time you do that, every time you take a step further down that path, you become less and less of who you really are. You were born into this world a beautiful, delicious, perfect, happy, wonderful little baby, pure and perfect and a miracle. And there is only one of you in this entire universe forever. There will never, ever be anyone just like you. So why in the hell are you going to let someone else tell you how to go through your life? We do this all the time, and it is literally giving up your power. So we're going to talk a lot about this and how we can start to kick this. And it is not, there's not like a magic pill here. It's, like I said, it's going to be something that you have to repeat over and over and over again. But all of that may have brought up a little anxiety in some of you. So I'm just going to take a minute right now to just breathe. Okay, so everybody do this with me. If you're with me, I want you to just close your eyes for a couple of seconds. Just close your eyes. And I'm going to ask you to take breaths in 4 counts. So 4 counts in. So here we go. 4, hold it at the top for 4 counts. And now let it out for 4 counts. And then hold at the bottom without taking another breath for another 4 counts. Do that again, one more time. Breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4 counts. 4 and release. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can open your eyes. This is a technique that can really stop some of these thoughts that are coming into you so super easily, because basically what you're doing when you take in a deep breath is you're telling your body, oh, oxygen is here, I'm not going to die. And that's what's happening in your brain when you're having these fearful, anxious thoughts. Your brain is actually trying to protect you from whatever it senses is going on around you that might be dangerous. And if you just take in a nice deep breath, that's saying, oh, I'm not going to die. I've got oxygen. I'm good. So that's just my first, kind of side hack. But it's just a way to kind of clear all of that negative energy that we were just talking about, all those thoughts that are coming in and threatening your confidence. So I'm going to go back to, those were some of the questions that I started up front. I'm going to go back to what are some of the things that come up in your head? And I'm going to share some of the ones that I see a lot, but I would love in the chat for you to give us some insight on what are some of the triggers for you? What are some of the things that kind of create this sense of, that really tank your confidence, I guess is what I'm asking. So here's some of the things, I'm not as good as everybody else. I'm not as smart. I'm not as experienced. It's something I'm just not good at. I was rejected. I'm too old. These are just some of the common things that I see and some of the things that I saw in the questions that you submitted in your RSVPs. So I see someone in the chat had said, I feel like I'm not hireable. Some people are saying, oh yeah, fear of them thinking I'm not competent enough. People won't take me seriously if I'm re-entering the job force. I'm too out of the loop. I'm not experienced enough. I love that someone here in the chat says, my mantra, your opinion does not define me. 100% preach. Yeah, here's someone who says, was never really that good. And so this is the thing, right? We get these thoughts in our head and they tell us these stories and they tell us who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be. And we are doing that because we are taking in all of the stimuli around us that is giving us, that we're running through a filter that we've created over our whole life that is telling us what our value is. And so some of the things that I'm going to be teaching you here today are actually about establishing, getting that value from yourself and not from other people. So, when we talk a lot about building confidence, I hear this a lot. Who here, just throw a 1 or a Y in the chat, just a quick like, holla if you hear me. If you've ever heard and or used the phrase, fake it till you make it. Who here has heard fake it till you make it? Anybody? I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll just awkwardly stand here for a second while we're waiting for some of those responses to come in, because I'm pretty sure everybody here has heard fake it till you make it. And I would love if you're chiming in to tell me if you believe in fake it till you make it. Lots of yeses coming in. We've all heard it. We've all embraced it. I see it from some really prominent people. And I get that the sentiment behind it is like, you will kind of catch up to your thoughts if you just do it, if you just do the thing. And then once you do the thing, you're going to start building up that muscle, and you're going to, and you will eventually like kind of catch up to yourself. But I think fake it till you make it is garbage advice, because it imprints in your mind that you're not good enough right now, that you're not enough right now, that you got to just do a little bit better. You've got to, you've got to kind of put on a show or be inauthentic until your mind catches up with you. And I'm going to guess that for most of us, the mind never catches up with you, because if you're in that place where you think you've got to fake it, you've already told yourself that whoever you really are is not enough. So I see fake it till you make it, and I kind of want to vomit, because I'm like, no, just keep pushing. Do the thing, even if it scares you, but no faking. There's no faking here. I don't know if that resonates with any of you. I would love to see in the chat if you kind of hear me on that. Not a big fan of fake it till you make it. I think that it is much more powerful to just stand in your authenticity and who you are and be that person, because there's no one else like you. So with that, we're going to go to, yeah, here someone says, I don't like to fake anything. Yeah, and lots of hate, fake it till they make it. But that's what we're told. And I just think that just sends you down a slippery slope. So the tools that we're going to share with you today is why you're struggling with confidence in the first place, what's going on scientifically behind that, and then 3 tools that you can use to start strengthening your own confidence. So let's get into it. Okay. This is the first thing that I want to tell you, which is you are not your brain. You have a brain, you have thoughts, but your thoughts are not who you are. So this is a little bit of a tricky concept for a lot of us, because we tell ourselves that we send ourselves certain messages about ourselves, and we let these opinions of other people tell us who we are, but these are just thoughts. And thoughts are not real. They are something of our creation. And so when you are in this place of thinking a thought that's triggering a response, that's getting a result, and you don't like the result that you're getting, the only way to change that result is to go back to the original thought and replace it with something more productive. So what's happening here from a scientific perspective is, who here has heard, just give me a quick high sign, a 1, a Y, something in the chat. Who has heard of the word neuroplasticity? So I'm going to drop a little bit of science on you, but it's not going to be scary. Neuroplasticity is basically, what that means is when you have a thought, it creates, these neurons fire together, and a pathway occurs in your brain. And you keep walking that pathway every day. So imagine that you are walking through a field of really tall grass, and you start taking a path one day, and every day you take that same path. Eventually you're going to beat down that path and widen the path and trample down the grass until it is a very clear path that's easy to navigate. And then when you've got an easy path to navigate in that field, you'll keep walking that same path. What we want to do when we have a thought that is destructive to us is change the thought, but it's hard to do that because you've got such an easy path, right? It's automatic. You automatically think those thoughts and walk through that path. What you want to do though is start, when you change the thought and shift to a more positive thought, you have to create a new path. But the more you think that thought, the same thing is going to happen. You're going to beat down that grass. You're going to clear the way. You're going to have a nice, smooth, easy to walk path through that field on a completely different level. So what we're doing is we are literally shifting the energy of our thoughts from something destructive to something constructive. And if you are not creating that new path, you're just going to stay in this rut of all of these old thoughts that you've been experiencing. And this is why I was saying you've got to do the work. When you're trying a new thought, like think about that field. How many days or weeks did it take you to create that clear path? It took a lot of time. It took probably your whole lifetime. And now over here, you're trying this new thought. The reason that you can't grasp the new thought and keep it top of mind is that you haven't created that pathway. You haven't created that strong, wide, flat, easy to walk neural pathway in your head. So that's what's happening from a scientific perspective in your brain. So the tools that I'm going to give you today are really about strengthening those neural pathways so that you're clearing this brand new path of the thoughts that you want to think. So what does it come down to? It's about building muscle, like everything else in life. You go to the gym, you lift a couple of weights. Do you immediately see a muscle? No, it can take days, if not weeks, for you to actually develop the chiseling in the biceps from lifting those dumbbells. And it's the same thing with the exercises that I'm going to show you today. So the three things that we're going to share to help you make that shift today are: number one, documenting your successes. Number two, you're greater than your mind, or I call it speaking truth to lies. And then the third one is identifying your unique abilities. So these are the three things that we're going to dig into today. And I will preface all of this by saying these are remarkably simple tools. You're going to look at these and you're going to go, you've got to be kidding me. Is this all you have for me today? And I am telling you from my own personal experience, as well as that of many of my clients, these are simple yet infinitely powerful exercises that you can use. And if you want to tap into the outrageous power that you have as a human being on this earth, you will try these and you will practice them every day. Okay, let's get into, hold on, I have to skip from the chat. All right, let's get into the first one. So I want to know in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being low and 10 being high, how often do you rely on the feedback of others to tell you that you're doing a good job? I feel like I should have some music to play while I'm waiting for your responses to come in. Should I sing? Should I just do a little dance? I'm waiting. Lots of 10s coming in. Yep, 10 is high, just as a reminder. 1 is low, 10 is high. 1, I don't rely on the feedback of others. 10, I totally rely on the feedback of others. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to beat you up about this, and I don't want you to beat yourself up about this, because we all do this. And the reason that we all do this, so this goes back to our primitive ancestors. Like way back in the day, if you didn't fit in with the tribe, what happened? You got kicked out of the tribe. And if you got kicked out of the tribe, you got eaten by some scary creature like a saber-toothed tiger or a woolly mammoth. So we are conditioned as you know, fellow humans who are all connected to each other. We're conditioned to look to the signals that we receive to tell us if we're fitting in. Because if we don't fit in, our brain goes back to that primitive sense of danger and tells us, oh my gosh, you're going to get eaten. Don't do that, right? But the brain doesn't understand the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and being embarrassed. So when you think that you're going to be embarrassed, or when you think that someone is going to judge you, or when you think that you're going to be perceived as failing, that alters everything in your brain, and your brain takes over and tries to convince you that you're not doing it right, that something is wrong with you, that you need to pivot, whatever it is. And so this feedback of others is important, but what we want to do is actually bring ourselves back to a place of reconnecting to our higher wisdom and our intuition and our knowledge that we know what to do, and knowing that ourselves, that we are amazing, perfect, dynamic, successful, fierce, whatever the word is, knowing that ourselves without having to get it from other people. So here is the exercise that I'm going to give you first. You guys, this is so simple. I can't even believe how simple it is. I call it success journaling. And what success journaling is basically, this is the little dumbbell that's going to help you rely on validation from yourself and not other people. Hey, it's great. I love it too. We love to get validation from other people. I ask my clients for testimonials all the time. But I have to know, like I know, that I am as good as I can possibly be, that I am the best I can be, that I'm perfect and wonderful and amazing at what I do, without any of that feedback from anyone else. Because if I even step out there with one tiny little shred of fear that I'm not good enough, it's just going to affect everything that I do moving forward. So this is the practice of writing in a journal. I prefer writing by hand. So if you must use electronic devices, use a tablet where you can use a pencil, like an electronic pencil, to write it. I like the habit of writing. I think it's just a stronger neural response that you get to it. But if you must, you can use a notes app or whatever you want to on your phone or whatever. The idea is to get into a practice of something that is easy for you to use and that's always with you. So those little flimsy journals, I think, are perfect for this, or like a tablet with a pencil. And start writing down, start listing everything that you can think of that makes you great at what you do. And it can be traits, it can be characteristics, it can be it can be strengths, it can be things that you've accomplished, and it can be big and small things you've accomplished. So maybe you were part of a team that won an award. That makes you amazing. Maybe you said something super smart in a meeting. That makes you amazing. Maybe you got up today and didn't have to hit the snooze button. That makes you amazing. Whatever it is. And a lot of you, especially if you're parents, pull in the stuff that you do with your kids, because so many of us are amazing at the parenting thing, and that's such hard work. But we don't necessarily allow ourselves to translate that into our work, that we're equally as amazing in the workplace. So some of the things that you are doing incredibly well as a parent also make you incredibly good at what you're doing at work, and we sometimes tend to forget that. So this is just an exercise of reminding yourself about your awesomeness and documenting it every single day. It doesn't need to take a lot of time. You can decide if you want to sit down in the morning or at the end of the day, or if you want to do it throughout the day, whatever works for you, as long as you are making that documentation and then going back and revisiting it every single day. This is how you build that muscle over and over again, just constantly lifting the weight of self-validation. Right? Okay, I'd love to see if anybody has questions about this. I'd love to see if anybody has tried this before. This is probably my number one tool that I assign most of my clients when we have conversations about confidence and how to build that up. And it is a game changer. It works for everyone. It's one of the first things when I was becoming a coach that I learned to do, when I went from this, storied 25-year career to starting over with a completely new skill from scratch. This was hugely powerful to me. Do strengths in your personal life count is the question here. Absolutely. Like I said about parenting, it can be anything. Maybe you can run marathons. That makes you pretty amazing. How do you translate that to work? What does it give you? What kind of discipline did you have to have, and commitment and resolve and grit? Um, uh, and I see someone says it's hard to use parent successes to connect with work success. They often feel at odds. That may be true. And this is something that you're going to want to kind of reflect on and think about, because a lot of times find the trait or the strength. Like I was saying about, running marathons. If you can run a marathon, that says something about you. It's got to apply to your work life in some way or another. You just have to kind of reflect on it and get used to thinking in these new ways. How long must I do this for? It really doesn't need more than 5 minutes. If you want to spend more time on it, all the better. But really, it's just about a simple habit of making a list of, kind of an exhaustive list of all the things that you can think of in one sitting. Someone asks if this past accomplishments are current. Doesn't matter, past or current, either one, it's still building that muscle. Oh, here's someone who says, I love this. I journal a lot about appreciation and gratefulness, but never about my awesomeness. Yes, I love gratitude journaling. It's one of my favorite tools to teach people as well. But yeah, we often leave out the gratitude towards ourselves, right? Like, this is what it's all about. It's getting used to that self-validation, that self-affirmation, that self-love, that self-care, reminding yourself that you are here for a reason, that you are beautiful and perfect just as you are, that you are amazing, and nobody else can tell you anything different. How long must I do this before I see any result? I think it's different for everyone. I know a lot of people who start this out who say, I don't really believe it though. I'm writing it down, but I still don't believe it. That's how you just got to go back and revisit it. And this is the much deeper work that I go into with my clients, where we start tackling some of those disbeliefs and the stories, and we start working on, okay, why is this holding on to you so strong? And how do we start to strip that away so we can get back to your amazingness? Rewrite some of the things each day. Yep, totally. That's okay. That's totally okay. Okay, I'm going to move on in the interest of time, but you guys can keep throwing out questions on this. We'll try to address them at the end if there's still other questions that come up. Okay, before we get into our next tool, I would like for you to think about a time when you had a tendency, like you wanted something, your brain was telling you, I want this, but you were disciplined enough to motivate yourself to do something different. Here's my illustration. You really wanted ice cream, but you told yourself to go to the gym, and you actually followed through and went to the gym. So who here has had an experience like that in their lifetime, where they were really feeling overcome by a desire to do something that might not have been in their best interests, and they overcame that by telling themselves to go ahead and do the more disciplined thing? I just love to see some thoughts in the chat. If this is resonating with you, give me a 1 or a Y. Tell me what's coming up for you. Tell me of, what your example is of a time that you experienced that. I think we have all been in a place in our lives where we've been able to do this. If you are a person who has never had that, who has always given in to the impulse and has never actually come over here and done the disciplined thing, I'd love to hear from you, because I think we can all say that we've been able to do this at least once in our lives. Yep, of course, everybody says, yep, totally. Okay, so this one is going to totally blow your mind. Another super simple and incredibly powerful practice that I call "You are greater than your mind," or speaking truth to lies. So I want you to take out a piece of paper. I want you to think about something right now that you're struggling with, something that you're experiencing that is telling you some of these stories that are, you know, creating these thoughts that tank your confidence. Oh, and while you're thinking about that, I'm just going to address some of the things that I'm seeing in the chat. Yep, someone says this morning I got up early to go for a walk. Yeah, it can be super easy to hit the snooze button, but instead you got up and you did your workout. Yeah, not often enough. Someone sitting in this class, I'd love to hear more about what that experience was like. I do it often when I want to send a reactionary, harsh emails. Oh yes, the impulse to just fire off a response. Yeah, and then you draft it and wait and then trash it once you calm down. And don't you find that just the process of hammering out that angry email can kind of just like, oh, that felt so much better. Yeah. Okay, so piece of paper, line down the center vertically. On the left-hand side at the top, you're going to say, my mind says, and these are all the bullshit stories that you're telling yourself about why you can't, why you're not good enough, why it's not going to work, whatever it is. All of the things that your mind, remember, your mind is not you. This is not who you are. This is your mind, and you are in control of it. You just don't know you are yet. My mind says on the left. On the right, but I say. What's your empowering statement? What is the thing that even if you don't fully believe it right now, you want to believe it? What is that? So think about, my mind says, I don't have enough experience to apply for that job. But I say, I can do most of the things that I see in this job description with my eyes closed, and I've been doing it for 10 years. It doesn't matter if I had a 10-year break. Okay, that's just one example. If something is coming up to you, I would love to see your examples in the chat. But this is another, so this is another thing. You're probably thinking, how long do I have to do this? I don't know. How long do you have to lift weights before you see a muscle on your bicep? It depends for everybody, right? It's going to be different for everyone, but do it often, do it daily. And I think too here, it's important to note, like, we could make an exhaustive list on the left-hand side of all the crap that your mind is telling you. I would like to invite you to think of just one thing to work on at a time. So you can make this list for as many of those stories as you want to, but just one at a time for this exercise, because otherwise it can be really super overwhelming. So here's an example. I'm going to be stuck in this job or career I hate forever, but my mind says there are bigger, better things out there. I say there are bigger, better things out there. I don't have the skills, my mind says, but I say I'm a fast learner. Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, so think about, and if you can come up with more than one retort to what your mind is saying, even better. Do you see how this is creating those stronger pathways in your mind of the thoughts that are going to propel you forward and not keep you stuck? Okay. So I'm going to take a pause here, see if there are any other questions before I move on to the very last one. And then I think we're probably going to have at least 10 minutes that we can open up for Q&A. And the next one is going to be pivoting just a little bit, because I think one of the things before I move on that gets a lot of us stuck, even after we've done this work of building ourselves up, you still kind of look around and go, I don't even really know what I want to do. So that's the next topic here. What if you're in this place of like, gosh, I haven't given myself much time to think about it. I've not ever really gone that introspective before. I don't even really know what I want to do. And if there's even a thought of like what that could look like, then the mind kicks in and starts telling you, oh, but you don't have enough experience for that. Or you're not relevant anymore, or that's an industry for young people and you're too old for that, or whatever. I mean, I could just go on and on and on with an exhaustive list. And this is the thing. once we get to this place of confidence, we can still be taken back because we've never really allowed ourselves to just sit and think and dream of what we would feel really excited and happy and joyful about doing. And so that's what this next tool is all about. And before I get to it, I just want to address one thing that I saw pop up in the chat. Going back to I just want to go back real quick. So my mind says, I love this one. My mind says, I'm so obsolete after staying at home for 5 years, but I say I'm smart enough to learn anything I put my mind to. Yes, girl, 100%, 100%, 100%. Love that. Okay, so what if you don't know what you want to do? Here is a super simple, fun exercise that you can go through that will help you to start kind of leaning into that a little bit more. And this is not going to give you the answer, by the way, but what it will do is get you in this mindset of what would I just really love to do? Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that this tool only really works if you strip away the editing. So we're going to have a tendency to tell ourselves, yeah, but I don't have any experience doing that. Or, yeah, but I don't see any way I can earn a living doing that. And you're going to want to resist that for this exercise, because this is where you've just got to do this work without really thinking yet about how it actually translates into a career. So you want to see what it is. This is from the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I love this book. It is a really powerful book about how we self-sabotage and keep ourselves within our upper limits by all of the stories that we allow our minds to tell us. And in this book, he's got this really awesome, powerful exercise that I love to use with my clients that is 3 questions, and it starts with the first one, which is, I am at my best when. So think of a time when you are totally in flow, when you lose all sense of time and space around you, where like you could be doing something that feels like it was 15 minutes and you look up and it's been 2 hours. What is it that you're doing? So that's the next question, right? I am at my best when. And if you're feeling compelled to share that in the chat, I would love to see some of the responses that you have here. So the first question, I'm at my best when I'm doing whatever it is. Number 2, when I'm at my best, the exact thing I'm doing is what? And then the third question, when I'm doing that, the thing I love most about it is. So I'm going to just stand back for a minute or so. If you want to reflect and think about this right now, I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to just jot down some thoughts that you're having. If you want to share in the chat, great. And if you don't, I totally understand. And if you have questions, you feel a little bit stuck, I'm here to help with that too. So while you're thinking, I'm going to put the title of the book in the chat. Or Katie's going to do it. So I'm at my best when. I'll give you an example. So this, I'll just make up something from me. I'm at my best when I am creating. When I am at my best, the exact thing I'm doing is writing, doing a creative project, like I've been sewing masks that are kind of like cute and fun fabrics. I sometimes paint kindness rocks. When I'm doing something creative, I'm doing these exact things. And when I'm doing that, the thing I love most about it is, for the most part, what I love most about those creative projects that I endeavor to do are they make someone else's life better. They enrich someone else's life. That's what I love the most about doing those things. I love cooking. That's another thing that I'm at my best when I'm doing it. And I love it because someone else gets to experience a meal that I made, and that makes me happy. So here someone says, I'm best when I teach my kid. Someone says, I'm best when I'm working or creating from my heart. Right. So remember, stop the editing, but just think about when you're in your purest expression of yourself, what are you doing? And what is it that you love the most about it? And the thing, oh, someone says, I'm at my best when I'm reading an interesting book. Love that. So you're going to lean into what it is that you love the most about it, because I'm telling you with this example of reading an interesting book, you're going to say, well, I can't read books for a living. How is it, and so this is how we stop ourselves, right? Like, how am I ever going to find a job where I'm reading books? Because that's what I do when I'm at my best. Well, what I'm going to say to that is you've got to dig in deeper to that and start listing out like, okay, let me think of all the ways that I could potentially apply this thing that I do so well. For me, because I love to create, I post a lot of content in social media. I write a lot of blog posts. I create a lot of videos. I love to be in the creative process. And doing that is a way that I can use my unique talents and gifts to support and help somebody else. So it's this intersection of what I do so well and what I get and love from doing it. I'm at my best when I'm using my unique and creative ability to think of strategies for improving a business, myself, a friend who's job seeking, art. I love that. Love that comment. I'm at my best when I'm solving problems. Yeah. I'm at my best when coming up with creative solutions for my business partners, asking questions, interpreting, hang on, I'm losing the chat, interpreting needs, and then coming up with the ideas that are actionable and helping others. I'm at my, I'm helping others, great. Best when I really connect with someone, when I can build up or help restore the person, when I see light spark and positive change in the person. I love that. Love it. These are great, you guys. So keep it up. Keep thinking about this. Get a little journal. My experience with things like this is one little journal where you're keeping all of these kinds of exercises can be really powerful because it's all in one place and you can like go back and revisit all of this stuff. And if you do this regularly, you're going to start seeing a completely transformative effect in your work and life. And so that takes me to the last slide, which is you got this. Like this sounds, it either is going to sound like this feels really daunting, I don't know if it's going to work, or this seems ridiculous. How is this going to work? Either way, I'd like to invite you to just try it. If you are feeling like you're in this place of being stuck and wishing that you had more confidence, you have the power to change it. You can do it, but it takes work. And that work requires a commitment to yourself to actually dig in and do the hard things, even if they seem really easy on the surface. And you will find that over time, they're going to build that muscle. And one day you're going to wake up and you're like, dude, I have this awesome bicep now. Like, look at that. I did all this work and now I can start to see it and reap the benefits of it. So these were just a few things that I shared with you today. As you can imagine, this is an extensive topic and it is not something that, I mean, like, look, you're walking away today with some actionable tools that are really easy to implement, and they're really powerful tools, and they can make a shift if you practice them. And it's not going to happen overnight, and you might need a little extra support. So I'm super excited about this 3-day boot camp that I created that we're going to start on May 13th. It's going to be 3 days in a row. We have a private Facebook group. We're going to cover 3 different lessons each day. I'm going to give you tools to use that are different from the ones that I shared with you today. And we're going to practice them. And we're going to do that in a totally safe space because it's a private group. And we're going to do it with a supportive community of other people with us. So if you're interested in this, Katie's going to drop the link in the chat. And I would really love to see you there. All of the sessions will be recorded if you can't make it. I'm gonna run them at noon Central every day for those 3 days, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. Normally I offer a program like this at a much higher price, but I'm giving this introductory beta pricing to everyone who is here today. It's going to be less than half of its normal price, and it's super affordable and incredibly powerful. Do yourself a favor and give yourself the gift of this self-development, and you're going to start to see transformative effects in your life almost immediately, and they will continue to develop down the road. So thank you everyone for your time today. We've got a few minutes left where I can answer questions. So Katie?
Yeah, I mean, this was so awesome, Laura. I mean, just like, I think we tell people this, but it's a lot harder to do than it seems, to really just take the time to sit down and focus on yourself and like think about you. Like, I feel like anytime, a lot of us, we sit down, we're focusing on something, we're making a list. It's about, oh, I need to do this for my family. Oh, this is what I need to get done at the office. But it's never, internally focused. So it's these tips, and I'm like, oh, well, I have my plans for tomorrow. I'm going to work on a lot of this. So these tips are just incredibly helpful. And I think, one thing, as we were gathering questions and kind of gearing up for this, program, regardless of like what you're trying to ultimately get to, whether it's workforce reentry or pivoting or, whatever else it may be, this is the starting point, and like getting that confidence and getting clear on who you are and why you're so amazing is like the first step. So it's really, it's really interesting. I mean, looking back at like the questions we had, come in, I think regardless of where you're trying to go, like the starting point is pretty much the same thing, regardless. So, I mean,
Yep.
That's today. Just in the chats, people are saying they're very grateful for all of this. If you have any other questions, we've got a few minutes. Also, just so everybody knows, we will follow up to everybody who RSVP'd to this with the replay link in case you missed part of it or want to rewatch, and also the link again to the awesome boot camp that Laura is going to be doing. Yeah, let's see any like fresh questions. But yeah,
I'm so excited about this boot camp, you guys. Like if you liked the tools that you got today, there's even more in this boot camp, and you're going to get an experience with me that is different from this one-to-many format that we've got here. I'm going to be in there with you, and I'm going to be supporting you and answering your questions and helping you get unstuck and addressing your unique needs. And you're going to know, by the way, you are not alone. Like this, you are not the only one struggling with some of these things. A lot of people are, and some of the most successful people are, and you are probably one of the most successful people that other people know, and you may not completely realize it, or you find a way to downplay it. And so we're going to start working on some of those things and breaking down some of those prison bars that you've put up around yourself. So I'd love to see everybody there. I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be incredibly fun and informative. And I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, this was incredible. Laura, thank you again for your time. Everybody here, thank you for joining. Please keep tuning in. Stay tuned for the follow-up email, and we will see you next week for the next Unity Hour.
Thanks, everyone.